What's up, everybody? This video here could be considered part of my soapbox series, but this is really more so than those other videos, really about giving some advice, and it's advice on how to argue. And when I say argue, I'm really talking about the more pure definition of the word, because I feel like we've really added a negative connotation to the word to the point now that even, most dictionaries have to basically give a second definition because of, a lot of people, when they think about arguing, they think about fussing, yelling, name calling, all of that going on. But to me, that's not the pure definition of the word. So I do want to start off by giving you that definition. And you see it says here, and I'm really just going to give the gist of it. You can read the definition if you like, but really the gist of it is to get your points across and try to persuade somebody to feel the way that you feel. And I mean, that's really what arguing comes down to. It is not always about fussing and yelling and name calling and all of that stuff. So, for starters, for people to be effective with arguing, they really need to think about what the definition of it is, what the true definition of that word is, and really change their mentality about arguing and, hopefully change their mentality about the way that they interact with people. So that is really the main purpose of this video. Now, I'm going to give some advice, and this is really from my own opinions, of course, my own experiences. So you take that for what it is. Now, this is something I think most people can agree on. And I'm saying most people because we know there are some people that are going to be how they're going to be. But I feel that being rude is not going to help you in an argument at all. And I'll give you a good example of this, especially with us interacting so much online and, even with our friends and family, a lot of what we do now is typed. So if you decide to be rude to somebody, you're basically going to have them either shut down on you or decide to be rude in turn. And a good example of this is something that just happened recently on my channel, and you won't find the comment. The comment is gone because the person is blocked because they had a strong reaction to one of my videos, and they wrote like paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. And it was like an essay basically. But in their second sentence in the very first paragraph, they decided to be rude to me and cuss at me and just very unruly. So you know what? I went ahead and blocked them. I didn't bother to read the rest of it because why should I? If that's the way that they would start off, then I know what the rest is going to be like. And this is why it's important not to be rude, because you may actually have good points to make. But if you decide to be rude, the other person is not going to be willing to listen. So you're really defeating yourself. So there's no point in being rude in the argument. It's not going to get you anywhere. Also, I feel like before you even decide to argue, first of all, pick your battles. That's something that I do. And I think a lot of people don't see that because, of course, on my YouTube channel, I may block somebody. I may delete an ugly comment. I get private messages, that are ugly sometimes. People don't see what I ignore. That's what some people don't give credit for, which is fine, because some people are too ignorant to realize that. But yeah, if I'm ignoring something, then obviously you would not see it. So I ignore a lot, and it's on a daily basis. At the point on my YouTube channel where I am, I get comments on a daily basis. I get, private messages somewhat regularly, which I ignore most of those. But yeah, it's ridiculous how much stuff I do have to ignore. So yeah, I definitely pick my battles, and that's something that's important to do up front. And then along with that, if you're going to decide to get into an argument with somebody, and remember, I'm using the positive connotation of the word, the effective connotation of the word there. If you're going to get in an argument with somebody, before you even speak, you need to think about what is your overall point that you're trying to make. And then what are you going to do to support that? You have to support it with something. So yeah, it's really important to take that time, even in your real life, your day-to-day life, people that you're face to face with. Before you get into an argument, take that moment to think about what your main point is and how you're going to support it. Even if you have to kind of, pull to the side there a little bit and maybe jot something down or, put something in your phone real quick to kind of help you get focused. Do what you need to so that you are effective in your arguing, because just saying I don't agree is not going to get you anywhere, so you got to be effective with what you're going to say. You got to kind of plan it out, basically, and almost think of yourself like being in a courtroom. If you're in front of a judge, in front of a jury, you got to think about what would you actually say to them. Be that organized with it. Also, this is important, especially because attention spans are short, and it seems like it's getting worse and worse as far as that's concerned. People's attention spans are really short. So be concise. And I think sometimes people get lost within arguments. Even people that are actually trying to make their point, they may get lost in what they're trying to say because they're going on and on and on, and they're bringing up all these different stories, all these different examples. You don't need a bunch of examples to get your point across. Just a couple will do. And that's something I've been pretty consistent with within my soapbox series, is to just give just enough examples and then keep it moving, because when you start giving too many examples, you start bringing in too many stories, it's so easy to get lost, and even you trying to make your points can get lost with that. So again, be concise with it. And also, you have to avoid weak arguments. And boy, are there a lot of weak arguments floating around out there that unfortunately have become kind of the norm. But I want to give you some examples, of weak arguments, so hopefully you can avoid these. For one, make statements, not questions. Don't throw out questions. Some people think that they got the better of somebody because they threw out a question and they think it's a tough question. And no, make statements. Questions are very weak. And a lot of times when I can tell somebody's trying to get an argument going with me, I'll just ignore it if they start off with a question, because I'm like, either you're going to say something or you're not. Don't throw out some random question to me. People be like, what about such and such? And it's like, no, just say what you mean. Don't make me try to speak for you. So questions, they're weak. Sometimes they can be effective, like especially later on within an argument. You do want to have that back and forth, so questions may be necessary. But I feel like especially starting off with the question, very weak way to start off an argument. And then also, I would say that if you disagree with somebody, just saying, I don't like what you said, or I disagree, and then stopping there, that means nothing. Even and I know it's a lot of young people that do this. Unfortunately, some adults do it as well. But sometimes people say something like, this is stupid, that's wrong, and then they don't follow up at all. Well, you might as well have not said anything. There's nothing effective about that in any way. Also, too many people have this either or mentality, and they're getting it with people. Like, let's say that somebody does, somebody speaking highly about Marvel, and they love Marvel comics, they love what they're doing with the movies, and then somebody comes along and they say, well, DC's doing great too. DC has some good stuff. Well, nobody said anything about DC. Why even bring that into it? You know what I'm saying? So it's like this either or mentality that just does not make sense. If you like something more, that's fine. That's your business. But, acting as if people have to choose, it doesn't make sense, because people can like more than one thing. I've said this many times on my channel. And on my channel, I mainly focus on collecting figures, a certain type of figures. I'm not limited to that, though. I've shared many other things on my channel as well. So when somebody comes along and they say, I don't like these, it's like, well, what are you trying to prove? It doesn't prove anything at all. So if you don't have a point, don't even bother to speak, and get rid of that either or attitude, because people are allowed to enjoy more than one thing. Also, something else that really bothers me, I think this is especially disturbing when it comes to social issues. You'll have some people that say that one thing is not as bad as something else. That doesn't mean that is good. I wish people would stop doing that. For example, somebody driving high is not better than somebody driving drunk. Either way, you could hurt yourself, you could hurt someone else, or you could end up locked up. Don't act like one is good just because the other might be worse in your opinion. It's like this. I'll give you a good example of this. If you see somebody being abusive towards a child, let's say they're frustrated with the child because the child won't listen, and they beat the child and they go way too far with it, and they're like, injuring the child and all of that. Somebody might say, well, at least they didn't kill him, because they see the child being disrespectful, but they may say, well, at least they didn't kill him. Really? Does that justify child abuse? I don't think so. People have got to stop acting like something is good just because it's not as bad as something else. Also, age is not an argument. Age by itself is not an argument. Now, experience can be an argument when you bring in certain experiences that you have to support your main point. That's perfectly fine. But just saying I'm older so I know better, no, that doesn't cut it. Even for parents, I think you need to pass along knowledge to your kids, not just say I'm older so I know better, because then they're not learning anything. And then they grow up with that same attitude, thinking that all they have to do is say I'm older so I know better. And nobody really learns anything in that way. And it just creates this cycle of laziness. It's not really teaching anybody anything. Also, as far as analogies are concerned, I use a lot of analogies, within videos like this. I'll share examples with you all in stories from my personal experiences, but you got to be careful with your analogies, because if your analogy is too strong, then it pretty much defeats your argument. You know, some people get way too extreme with their arguments, and that's something you definitely have to be mindful of. And then also, some people have analogies that are completely irrelevant. You know, you got to be careful about that as well. So be very careful about your analogies, because they actually can work against you sometimes. And then the last point I want to make is about winning an argument and what it really means to win an argument. In my opinion, winning means that you expressed yourself. You said everything that you wanted to do very clearly, very concisely. That's a win. You know, for some people think that a win is getting the last word in. That means nothing. You know, getting the last word really means nothing. It could be that the person is just tired of dealing with you. You know, that's not a win though. You know, or they may walk away, whatever it is. They just don't want to be bothered with you anymore. That doesn't mean that you won. Also, even if you persuade somebody and they come around and, you know, they see your side of things and maybe they change their opinion some, yes, that may feel real good to you. But I still think more importantly is you being able to get your points across in a clear manner. That means a lot, because there are so many people that are not able to do that. And it really is a shame. So those are my opinions about, you know, what it means to argue and the way that people should approach arguments. And remember, when I say the word argue, I'm talking about that positive connotation of it, not the negativity that a lot of people attach to it. All this yelling, fussing, name calling, all of that, it gets us nowhere at all, you know, and it's just something that we've got to get past. Now, obviously, not everybody is going to change. I mean, that's not possible. But, you know, I still hope that this video opens up some people's eyes, and maybe you'll think more about the way that you interact with others. And I definitely want to hear your feedback on this. Maybe even share, you know, not getting too personal, but maybe you want to share an experience that you've had as far as an argument that may have been you may have been effective, or you may be ineffective, or, you know, the other person may have been effective or not. You know, just share your personal experience, your personal thoughts about this. I definitely look forward to checking that out. And share this video as well, because I'm pretty sure everybody knows somebody that probably needs to see this. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, and I will talk to you all again real soon.